How's it going, boys? Johnny Superb Man here, and it's time for another NHL 16 Shootout commentary. And you guys already know what we're talking about today. Free agency, baby. July 1st, 2016, what a day. I read that there was close to $450 million of contracts dealt out. So the NHL is going to be a weird place next year. New faces in new places. And just like the last few Shootout commentaries, boys, I have so much to talk about. We're going to do a post-com. And also, I have to apologize because we're not going to cover every single signing. There's far too much that happened. I've cherry-picked a few that I'd like to give my opinions on. But if you guys want to just comment away on anything that happened, go nuts in the comment section, alright? So the first thing I want to talk about is Steven Stamkos signing with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know it technically wasn't a free agency signing, but still I said that I would talk about this, and I want to. And it seems like Stamkos decided that the best place for him to play is on the same team that drafted him. He signed an 8-year, $68 million deal with an average cap hit of $8.5 million per season. And that's what Yzerman said he would go up to, 8.5, so he stuck to his guns. Now, some people were confused why he didn't take more money somewhere else. He could have made more, right? But there are two things to consider here. And I didn't mention this when I talked about Stamkos before. Firstly, very important, the tax rate is a lot higher for other cities. After taxes, Stamkos will clear more money in Tampa than, say, if he was making $9 million per year in a city like Toronto. Second, if Stamkos were to sign with another team, then the max length of the deal would be no more than 7 years. You can only offer a max of 7 years to an unrestricted free agent. Tampa, however, was able to offer Stamkos 8 years because they still had his negotiation rights. So let's compare two deals here. Stamkos gets $8.5 million per year over 8 years for a total of $68 million by signing with the Lightning. Now compare that to a deal where he would have made, say, $10 million per year, but only over 7 years. That comes out to $70 million by signing with another team. So $68 million over 8 years compared to $70 million over 7 years. Stamkos, he's not leaving that much money on the table, and also take into account there's no guarantee that he'll still be healthy playing hockey in 7 years from now. So to say to yourself, well, I'll sign a 7-year deal and have the intent on signing another contract after that because you still think you're going to be an $8 million player, that's too much of a risk. He can take the 8-year deal right now and guarantee himself that money. So with that tied in with the tax rate, he's actually making a good chunk of change here with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, you know, Steve Yzerman, I got to say this again, he did a great job with Drouin and Stamkos and Drouin this year. He stuck to his guns with both of these guys, and now he has Drouin wanting to stay. He's got Stamkos signed for 8 years. They just extended Victor Hedman for 8 years also. I mean, Yzerman has the Tampa Bay Lightning on a championship path after all these great decisions. I mean, you guys got to watch out for the Lightning. Back-to-back Eastern Conference final appearances. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Now they got Stamkos signed. Drouin, maybe he wants to come back. I mean, they got a good thing going over there in Tampa Bay. So I like that signing. Good job, Yzerman, and good luck in the future for Stamkos. And on a side note, I'm kind of glad that Toronto Maple Leafs didn't sign Stamkos. I'm kind of glad that they made the decision for us because we don't need that contract. We're going to be a team of the future. I'm glad he stayed with the Tampa Bay Lightning, all right? Next up, the Edmonton Oilers signing Milan Lucic. Woo, baby. A big statement made by Edmonton, signing Lucic to a 7-year, $42 million contract with an average cap hit of $6 million per season. Now, all of a sudden, the Taylor Hall trade makes all the sense in the world, right? I mean, Peter Chiarelli clearly had an idea for McDavid's left-wing partner of the future, and it wasn't another first overall pick, skilled forward. No. Instead, he's gone with Gretzky McSorley 2.0. I'm really excited to see how Connor McDavid and Milan Lucic work together next year. And if anyone sneezes on Connor, they're going to have a 6'3", 233-pound monster to deal with. So, fantastic job of giving Connor the pieces that he needs for the future. Now, people seem to disagree with this deal a lot because of the length. And, you know, they're not exactly wrong. A 7-year deal to a 28-year-old is not ideal, unless, of course, you're signing a star. But, you know, I have to give Milan Lucic some props here. The guy has been an Iron Man. Over the last 6 seasons, Lucic has only missed 10 games. And he's averaged 20.8 goals per season. Not 28, 20.8 goals per season. 20 goals per season, basically. All right, so he is a 20-goal man, even without a guy like Connor McDavid. And his plus-minus has always been positive. He's dominated over the last 6 years. And he hasn't showed any sign of slowing down, so let's not start calling him another David Clarkson just yet, right? I mean, let's not write this guy off. Now, if you're expecting Milan Lucic to replace Taylor Hall's offense and his production, then you are going to be disappointed. But that's not why the Oilers signed him. All he has to do is play his game, protect the youngins, instill fear in the other team, pass the puck to Connor McDavid, and go to the front of the net. His point totals will increase simply because of McDavid, and now the Oilers can depend on someone other than their young, skilled forwards to work down low in the dirty areas. Fantastic signing by the Oilers. Replace Hall with Lucic and add Adam Larsson. They will, no doubtedly, be better next year. Let's move on to the Boston Bruins, who also made a splash in free agency, acquiring David Backes on a 5-year, $30 million deal with an average cap hit of $6 million per season. All right, so Boston has missed the playoffs 2 years in a row now, and it looks like they're not ready for a full-on rebuild. I mean, if they're not rebuilding, then they need to retool quickly, and David Backes is that prototypical Boston Bruin player, so it makes sense that they would target him. Now, Cam Neely is still the president of hockey operations for the Boston Bruins, and in the past, I don't know if the decisions are just the general manager, if he has a say-so, right? But in the past, the Bruins have favored bigger, tougher players over the smaller, skilled ones. I mean, look at Phil Kessel, out of town. Tyler Seguin, both weren't the right quote-unquote fit for the Boston Bruins. Yet they gave guys like Nathan Horton, Chris Kelly, Matt Bolesky, Jerome McGinley, Milan Lucic, all big boy contracts since like 2011 or 2012, right? So I'd imagine now that Backes has signed with the Bruins, they're probably looking to trade away a guy like David Krejci. I'd say Patrice Bergeron's not going anywhere. I don't say they go 1, 2, and 3 down the middle. I'd say Krejci is probably on the way out, and the rumors that I've been hearing are the Bruins sending David Krejci to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for Kevin Shattenkirk. The Bruins are in desperate need for a top-line right-handed defenseman. They just bought out Kevin Seidenberg. That was Kevin Shattenkirk. Dennis Seidenberg. There you go. They just bought him out, right? So they need to bring in some defensemen. And by signing Backes, they do have the 3 centers now, right? So I don't know, I guess that makes sense for them. And if they can make that trade go through, they will be a better team next year. It's like the same thing the Oilers did. Replace a forward with a free agent forward, and then trade the extra forward for a top-line defenseman. So I like the signing for retooling purposes, but they still need to make that trade with Krejci to make it all come around full circle, right? So Boston Bruins getting David Backes, good signing. We'll see what happens there. Next up, we got the Vancouver Canucks, and this one's going to be fun. I'm about to piss off an entire fan base, but at least let me get through what I have to say and then go nuts with your comments, okay? But in my opinion, the Vancouver Canucks were the biggest losers of the day. And I can already hear your complaints. Johnny, you don't know what you're talking about. Eriksson was the best free agent available. The guy had a 30-goal season. Okay, yes, the Canucks signed a 30-goal scorer. And yes, the Canucks signed a Swedish winger to play with the Sedin twins. But ask yourself this. Does signing Louis Eriksson move the Canucks closer to or further from a Stanley Cup? The Canucks need a full-on rebuild, and delaying that rebuild will only hurt your future. Look what happened 2 years ago, guys. The Canucks in free agency went out and acquired Radim Vrbata to play with the Sedin twins, and look what happens. Yes, they had a good season, and the Canucks made the playoffs. But in those playoffs, what happened? The Canucks lost to the Flames, who lost to the Ducks, who lost to the Blackhawks. You lost to the team that lost to the team that lost to the champs. This is the best the Canucks can hope for this year. A first-round appearance. Vancouver is nowhere near good enough to be a cup contender, even with Louis Eriksson. It seems like you guys are stuck in limbo. You know, not good enough to win, but not willing to tank. It resembles the Toronto Maple Leafs in the post-Matt Sundin era. You know, we kept trading away high draft picks and signing free agents. You know, the free agents would make us better. We wouldn't be good enough to win, but we also wouldn't be bottom of the table, which means that we wouldn't draft in the top 5. What we got from this strategy were years of failure. But after one season of committing to a full-on rebuild, trading away veterans, acquiring draft picks, acquiring young talent, one season of this, the Leafs' future has never looked brighter. I'd even say the Leafs are closer to a Stanley Cup now than the Vancouver Canucks. Yes, the Canucks have a better roster, and yes, the Canucks will likely have more points during this year's regular season. But after the year is done, the Leafs won't have the cup, but will have a young team with a bright future. While the Canucks also won't have the cup, but will have an aging roster with an uncertain future. To me, it just doesn't fit the formula to win a Stanley Cup for the Vancouver Canucks. It's like they're just trying to make it so their team can have a decent regular season and play out the careers of the two Sedin twins. If you're just trying to do that, then it's a fantastic signing. But if your goal is to win the Stanley Cup and to win it as soon as possible, this signing doesn't make any sense for me. Okay, boys? That's the way I see it. Now, there was a crap ton of other signings that I can just mention here. A quick thought. I didn't want to devote too much time. I mean, we're already deep into this video, so let's just go with it. Andrew Ladd signing with the New York Islanders. Well, they lost Kyle Okposo. We're going to see if he plays well with the with John Tavares. But I don't know, man. The Eastern Conference... There was one time where the Islanders seemed like they were on their way up, but there's other teams now like the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning now that they've signed those two guys. You know, the New Jersey Devils acquiring Taylor Hall. I don't know if this signing is going to put the Islanders over the hill to take that next step. We'll have to wait and see. Next up, Dan Hamhuis signing with the Dallas Stars. Go back to the Vancouver Canucks. Benning, you moron. Why didn't you trade this guy at the trade deadline? Why didn't you get at least a seventh for him? You allow a guy like Dan Hamhuis, a veteran, a player who a multitude of playoff teams would love to get. You'd allow a guy like this to walk off your team. You're not a cup contender. You're not the Chicago Blackhawks. You need every asset to help turn your team around, and you let Dan Hamhuis walk off the team and sign Louis Eriksson. It just seems like the Canucks don't know what the hell they're doing. But whatever. Kyle Okposo signing with the Buffalo Sabres. It seemed like as soon as Steven Stamkos signed with the Tampa Bay Lightning, all of these signings came down. The Buffalo Sabres were said to be a big contender for the Stamkos sweepstakes. So if they have that kind of money, you know, they got to get somebody. Kyle Okposo. We'll see who he plays with next year. Probably Jack Eichel, maybe Ryan O'Reilly. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't have too much to say about that, really. The Eric Staal signing with the Minnesota Wild. At first, I thought this was a really stupid signing. Kind of resembled Vincent Lecavalier signing with the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm sure Eric Staal still has a lot of hockey in him. But, you know, the Minnesota Wild, I guess thinking that they need that top six center, that first line center. Staal at one time was fantastic, but his numbers have been dropping off. Then I saw the contract. It's not horrible. 3 years at, what, $3.5 million per season. It's one of those things where, I don't know what to make. It could be amazing. It could be horrible. It could be another buyout waiting for Minnesota in the next 2 years, just like Thomas Vanek. We'll have to wait and see. Radulov is back in the NHL, signing with the Montreal Canadiens. 1 year deal. Smart idea by the Montreal Canadiens, only a 1 year deal. He's making a good chunk of money, but I guess you got to lure him over here some way. We'll see what happens. In the past, you know, locker room issues, chemistry issues, the inability to adapt to the American, or North American, I should say, North American style of play. The guy's flashy, the guy's got skill. We've seen that in the past, right? But he's had 2 exits of the NHL already. Is he about to have his strikeout? We'll have to wait and see. Thomas Vanek signing with the Detroit Red Wings. They also, like the Buffalo Sabres, in the they were in the Steven Stamkos sweepstakes, didn't get him. They have to get somebody. We'll see how Vanek works out there in Detroit. Oh my God, I got to take a drink, but I only have 2 more to go, so we'll push through. Mikhail Bodker signing with the San Jose Sharks. You know, they're looking to repeat what they did this year, but to take that extra step. So bringing in Bodker makes them better. That's nice. And James Reimer signing with the Florida Panthers. I hate that signing. I mean, once we traded for Frederik Andersen, it made sense, or it became clear that Reimer was not coming back unless we could somehow move out Jonathan Bernier. But it seems like Florida has prepared for Luongo dropping off or Luongo getting injured. Florida looks like a filthy team in the future. And what really frightens me, I'm not talking about next year, guys, all right? So don't jump down my throat. They signed him for, what was it, 4 or 5 years, James Reimer? I see maybe, 2, 3, 4 years from now, a Toronto Maple Leaf Florida Panther first or second round matchup in the playoffs. And, the young Toronto Maple Leafs have to face James Reimer on the stacked Florida Panther squad. Fuck, that's going to suck. So Reimer's back in the Atlantic Division, and he's on a team that's on the up and coming. Oh, God, he's going to be their goaltender, man. That sucks. But good luck to James Reimer, and I'm glad he got a big boy contract. He definitely deserves it. Florida, you're getting a good goalie who will battle at all times for you there. So there it is, boys. If I missed the player that you wanted me to talk about, I apologize again. Far too much to talk about, but just go nuts in the comment section, right? Anything you guys want to talk about, just go nuts with it. So thanks for watching, boys, and I'll see you next time. Be sure to check out our website, 2bcsports.com, where the hockey talk continues. Find myself and others in the live interactive chat, or dive into the active forums to talk about sports and gaming. You can also find us on Twitch, where the live streams come to life.